I think of you every time I go by Riverside and Benjamin. That's really an improvement. It's come along.
I like the sign they put out too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Prairie Point or Premier Point.
Premier Point. Yep.
You gotta get that.
I don't think.
Bostonics
I
on
don't
that
think.
sign.
What's that? Oh, the Boston. Yeah. What happens at the?
We'll start demoing that next.
What are you demoing?
That building.
The one on the corner?
It'll stay. I mean, we'll start making it look like the other building now.
Is that what it's going to do?
Similar.
You know, that place kind of looked scruffy from the time it was first built.
Kind of did, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah.
You know.
Good evening. It is Monday, July 2nd, 2012. And I will open the Norfolk City Council meeting this evening with, first of all, a reminder that this is an open meeting and made accessible to all members of the public is the actual Open Meeting Act in the northwest corner of this room. We'll ask that you stand with us for a moment of silence and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Beth, continue with roll call.
Coy.
Here.
Lange.
Here.
Merrill.
Here.
Boston.
Here.
Huron.
Here.
Brenneman.
Here.
House.
Here.
Saunders.
Here. And under action, I would request approval of the consent agenda as was provided you.
So move.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. If you will please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative.
And next would be approval of the full agenda as was provided you.
So move, Your Honor. Second.
That's through yesterday.
A motion with a second for approval of the full agenda again. Please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative.
All right. Under presentations, we'll look for a recreation update tonight.
Yes, Mayor and Council. Had a great grand opening. Thanks for everyone for attending that. I had great support and heard favorable comments from the veterans through that. Really, that's where the rubber meets the road for the community, is honoring those veterans that work so hard to get our community and our country where it is today. So again, a shout out to the veterans and community and thank them very much. Now, one thing that Mayor and Council, that I wanted to let you know is, and I'm not sure if I shared this with you, but I want to share it with you and the community, is Jerry Landcamer, who was the veteran organizer that spoke at the open house, or the grand opening Saturday. He and his family actually donated all those flags, the American flag and all the service flags, not only for the first time, but they're going to continue, that family is going to continue to provide those flags and keep them crisp and looking sharp for as long as Jerry's around, is what he told me. So I wanted to make sure that you were aware of that and the community was aware of that, because that's quite an undertaking and something to be proud of for him. So we got some great numbers down there at the Aquatic Center. As of yesterday, Dennis was showing me the numbers here that we tallied up. And as of yesterday, we had 19,515 folks through the Aquatic Center. Our big day was 1,681, so 1,681, and we're averaging about 1,200 a day. So it's pretty impressive, and obviously with the hot weather, it's getting used quite a bit. But we got just a few snafus that we work out. As anytime you have a project of this magnitude, you're going to have some situations that you have to work out. The staff's working extremely hard on all the staff, from the lifeguards all the way through the public works director, continue to work really hard to make sure that we tweak any of the little things out that we're experiencing as we go through our learning curve with the operation of this park. It's really been a blessing, but it's getting used. So with that being said, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have about the recreation.
Shane, the football field's ready to go. I mean, I know we played on it last year, but everything's done because we're a couple months out on that.
We are a couple months out, and I was visiting with the athletic director just last night, in fact, about that, and we're pretty much ready to go. And his conversation, he said, it's just going to be quite a blessing when those football teams show up, and instead of going into the old locker rooms, they're going to be able to go in that multi-purpose facility, and they're going to remember that. And he was very thankful, and he wanted to make sure that I communicated that from the school's perspective. Those were his comments last night. But yeah, the football field's ready to go. The scoreboard's ready. The message board is up and operational. We do have the signage out front on Bluff Avenue that we have to complete, along with some landscaping along there as part of the project, the overall project to finish out yet, to bring the whole park in to completion. But we're ready to go for football. Yep.
Still have a little bit of railing work to do on the stadium, but nothing that is unsafe, but just some things that we want to do to finish it up.
I had one question. Is our intent to exit and enter through Bluff and Grove? We're not going to go back off into Blaine, are we? We're going to close that entrance during football by the skate park, the old Memorial Field entrance, pool.
I would think during the football season that would be access would be available through that street or that access.
I know at one time we visited about keeping that traffic going to First Street instead of going through the residential, but I didn't know where we were at on that.
Prairie is obviously closed off permanently, but the Blaine one I thought would be available for the bigger events. Not sure how it's set up now, but I'm not so sure about what it shouldn't be blocked off, so that's the only access into the skate park at this point in time, just so that we don't get any cross traffic through there. But
you mean Pierce Street?
Pierce, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions at all, Council?
I don't have any questions, but Shane, I will tell you, I try to make it a point to drive through there a couple times a week, and it was nice to see several out-of-state cars. You see some South Dakota, some Iowa license plates, all that kind of thing, and some numbers on those license plates where you have to kind of think, where's that county and how far away is that? And it's encouraging to see that. So.
I think that goes towards the Norfolk Area Visitors Bureau doing a fantastic job of getting the word out, and all of our media really supporting the project in whole and getting that word out too. So
I would agree. I think they are doing a real nice job, and I think they're on a real steep learning curve there. They're taking in a lot of information, and I think that in the years to come we'll be able to market that a little differently, having some of that baseline information that we're going to need to go ahead with in the years to come. So it's going to be exciting to watch. But nice job on everybody.
On the numbers that Shane gave you, about 40% of those are season passes. The other 60% are daily passes of some shape.
One thing I did talk to Sheila about at the grand opening, and I commended her that we had decided to use debit and credit cards. We have access to that now there. At first we didn't. Is that active now, Dennis, or do you know? But I know we have intent to start that, because I'd had a couple questions.
I think it's active. I think it was active as of this week. Last week already? Okay.
I think that's a great addition. I mean, like Rob said, there's a steep learning curve, and I think that was our intent, maybe to incorporate that all along, but you get bombarded at the beginning. But I'm just glad that we got that going, because a lot of people use debit and credit now. There's not a lot of check blanks and cash out there. So
I've had a lot of people too that ask me if we could keep it open a little later. They go, we got the lights, we close at 8. It stays 80 degrees, 90 degrees up until 10 or 11 o'clock. But I mean, maybe go till 9, 9:30. So we might have to look at that also.
We could sure look at that. When we prepared for the initial opening and how most of those facilities are ran, we canvassed the area communities like us that have done that, and they've, through their experience, and obviously have more years of experience than we do, they seem to think that was the sweet time, and then after you could rent it out for a while, an hour or two afterwards, from like 8 to 10 or 8 to 10:30 is what they kind of found seemed to work the best for them. But when it's hot like this, your point is well made. When it's hot like this, it seems like people could really enjoy that maybe longer. There's some give and take in that. You got to look at your numbers and see what kind of really usage you're going to have as a kind of an average there. So that's something we can continue to monitor.
I will just comment that having been down there many evenings in that 7, 8, 9 o'clock time frame, that the folks just start going home at 7 o'clock, even before they're even making any announcements. And by 8 o'clock, the place is pretty much deserted even before they're blowing the whistle and saying it's the end of the day. So.
And I agree with that. Kids have been there all day, things like that, but the people that get off at 5:36, if they knew it was going to be open until 10, they'd have 3 or 4 hours to go down there rather than an hour and a half, and they might go from work rather than not go because they don't have enough time to go. So I agree with you. You got to look at the numbers, but it might not be a bad idea maybe month of July sometime when it's 100 degrees every day to try it, just see what the numbers do.
Appreciate it.
If you remember right, there was some of those at the grand opening, some of those that were over 55 that were requesting an evening for senior citizens at least once a week. And then there was, and are you over 55? Is that what you're telling me, Mark? And then there was also the request for the early morning, too. So that was expressed to Lisa, and I know she's probably churning that around with her group as well. So lots of great ideas and such very good comments that we had this weekend. So
One thing I have,
Right, it would be, we talked briefly about it, about the age limits. I understand, at the water park, obviously, with 16, if you're under 10, you got to be accommodated by somebody who's 16 years old. Now, we automatically transferred that over to Liberty Bell also. Is that?
We reconsidered that, Shane.
Okay.
Councilman, I apologize for not communicating that back
Okay.
to you. And Liberty Bell, they're not going to be as rigid as that. With the water park environment, with the wave pool and the whole dynamic of the water park, it's a little more of a dynamic park than Liberty Bell will. So we went back to the old standard for Liberty Bell, compared to the water park.
Thanks.
As far as Liberty Bell goes, do we have a daycare pass set up for there at all or anything? I've been asked by a few people that have smaller daycares that it's too much to watch their children when they're at the water park, when they have like 10 kids. They're asking if we had a daycare pass of some kind that they could use at Liberty Bell. And I says at this time I do not think we have that, but it's something we could look at maybe.
We do not have a daycare pass. I'm not sure exactly what that means, Councilman.
I think what they meant by that is if they wanted to take the afternoon and for a couple hours and bring their daycare kids to the pool, they have to pay for each individual child, or would there be the pass they could purchase at the beginning of the year for a certain amount of money, and that would allow them to come with their kids up to a certain number or something?
All daycares would be able to.
Certain daycares or maybe not all of them want to come.
We don't have that currently. Okay. To have that, I think there may be some troubles with that because how would you differentiate between daycare passes and who's who? And right now we identify the family members and obviously have a family pass that goes along with that, and you have to prove that you're a part of the family. Daycare passes, I think, would be harder to manage in that aspect. We wouldn't know who is who and with the daycares, and then, I guess compared to a family, I think it'd just be hard to manage.
Okay.
But it's something we can talk about with staff, and I think it'd probably be hard to manage, Councilman.
I just told them I didn't know, and we'd have to look at it and see. And
we don't have one now. If you can tell your constituent that, but I think it'd be hard for us to manage daycare passes.
All right. Thank you.
anything else on that? If not, how about 25th Street, Dennis?
Well, we continue to make progress down there. Concrete's all in from Norfolk Avenue south and a little bit to the north. I understand they were down there striping the street south of in Norfolk Avenue today. Planning to open Norfolk Avenue and the stretch to the south sometime tomorrow.
Great.
Don't know whether it'll be morning or afternoon, but before the end of the day, we should be able to go east-west on Norfolk Avenue. I should say before the contractor leaves for the end of his day.
Okay.
We should be able to go east-west on Norfolk Avenue and then south on on 25th Street. We will be back in there this fall doing sodding, permanent streets marking, and probably the thing that will be more disruptive than any of that is putting up the traffic lights and the street lights in that area. We've continued to work up over the hill where you can't see it too well. We've got concrete from Hardison north to about a couple hundred feet south of the bridge. They got the tie-in into the park made, so we're just waiting to get some cureage on that. And then we'll probably reroute the access into Skyview from the south side. Right now you come in on Maple. Sometime in the next week or so you'll come in on Hardison, down the new paving and into the park so that we can get that piece of Maple completed and some of that. They're working on the temporary accesses between Norfolk Avenue and Prospect Avenue, getting ready to tear into that phase. That phase, unfortunately, has a lot of utilities related to it. And all new storm sewer going in there, and then we're lowering the hill there by the water tower about 4 feet. So that means it's all new water line from about Valley View up to Hardison. So, and then back on Prospect for half a block or so either direction. So there'll be quite a little utility work in there. And NPPD has some additional utility line work to do with their transmission line through that section. So it will be a section that will take us some time to get completed. Continue to make work on the bridge. Girders are supposed to be coming the end of the week. So we're making progress, and I guess I'd answer any questions you have.
Thanks, Dennis. Any questions at all?
Dennis, the intent is a three-way stop at Norfolk Avenue and 25th Street?
Four-way stop, because there is some traffic on the north side that will be using that to access in and out of there. The apartments on the west side have to use Norfolk Avenue. The Alexanders on the corner have to use Norfolk or 25th Street. So it will be a four-way stop.
Okay, thank you.
Probably until September.
Okay. Nothing else?
I think that should do it.
All right. Thanks, Dennis.
You're welcome.
Moving on to public hearings then. The first public hearing at the request of J. Paul McIntosh and Eleanor McIntosh for a zoning change from A Ag District to I-1, Light Industrial District at Eisenhower Avenue, 3,350 feet east of Victory Road. I will open this hearing and look to you, Trent, I would assume? Yep. Okay. Oh, Mr. Johnson, I apologize. I didn't see you back there. You want to go first, Trent?
Yeah,
we'll bring him forward.
This is, Mayor, Council, this is at the request of J. Paul and Eleanor McIntosh, and this is in result of Scrap Mart and also Tyson Construction, Wade Tyson, and basically one of them is doing a conditional use permit for soil extraction and concrete storage, which he already has on site there. That's Tyson, and Scrap Mart would obviously be expanding use because they're outgrowing their First Street location. So.
Okay. Dick, do you want to come forward? And hate to have you be here and not have something to say, so.
I was happy just to sit and listen. I forgot to sign in. Well, I was talking on the phone when you started your meeting. So. What? That's even better. Now is it? I'm Dick Johnson with Johnson Engineering, and we're representing J. Paul and Eleanor McIntosh on this zoning change. Basically, the request is for approximately 10.8 acres on Eisenhower, east of Victory Road. The land will ultimately be platted into two 5-acre lots. The first lot is the west lot. Scrap Mart intends to buy and wants to move there. Doesn't want to move it. They want to put another facility out there. Basically, the zoning change came about. Right now, the land is zoned agricultural. Minimum lot size in the ag zoning district is 20 acres. So we're going down to I-1, which is light industrial. Scrap Mart has a conditional use permit that we're hoping will be approved by the Planning Commission in the morning, which the 5 acres is fine in the I-1 zoning. Tyson has indicated he'd like to buy 5 acres also, and that would be lot 2 of the addition. As far as his conditional use permit, that's over 28 acres, I think, which includes the 5 acres, which will be lot 2, which is where he is storing the materials from the regional center now. There was no opposition to the Planning Commission, and we're here to see if we can get you folks to go along with it.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any, council? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dick, for being here. Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone else that wants to come forward and speak to this that may have questions or any opposition to? If not, then I will look for a Planning Commission report.
The Norfolk Planning Commission held a public hearing on June 19, 2012 for a zone change from A, agricultural, to I-1, light industrial, east of Victory Road and Eisenhower Avenue at the request of J. Paul and Eleanor McIntosh. This zone change allows business development on this agriculturally zoned parcel. The Planning Commission held public hearings for W. Tyson Grading and Equipment and Scrap Mart for conditional use permits east of Victory Road and Eisenhower Avenue. Tyson applied for a permit to soil extract, and Scrap Mart requested a salvage yard. The zone change allows the applicants to make the request for uses not normally allowed in the A zoning district. The Planning Commission voted 8-0 to recommend approval.
Okay. And with that, I will close this hearing and ask for a motion for consideration of ordinance number 5215, changing the zoning district from Ag to I-1 light industrial, east of Victory Road and Eisenhower Avenue.
Your Honor, I would move consideration of ordinance 5215 on first reading.
Second.
We have a motion with a second for approval of ordinance number 5215. Any discussion? If not, short title.
An ordinance of the City of Norfolk, Madison County, Nebraska, amending the zoning district map of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska, providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and providing for publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5215 carries on first reading.
Does this need to move forward if this is going to the Planning Commission tomorrow? I would move that we suspend the rules and pass on second and third.
I second that.
We have a motion with a second to suspend on second and third. And any further discussion on that? Again, if you will please vote then.
All council members voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5215 carries on second and third.
Next is a public hearing at the request of Adam Henn for a zoning change from C1 Local Business District to R2 1 and 2 Family Residential District at 214 South 8th Street. Again, I will open this public hearing and look to someone to come forward and speak to this. I think it's you, Trent.
Adam Henn came in, and he has the very last house on this C1 on 8th Street. So basically the property next to him is all R2. So it kind of limits on, he's wanting to rebuild the house and work on it, and he had some concerns about leaving it C1 and putting a bunch of money into it. So he came in and asked for this request, and it went to the Planning Commission, and ultimately they voted for it. And I guess on the city side, we really don't have any issues either. So.
Okay. Again, public hearing. Anyone else that wants to come forward and speak to this issue? Whether questions or against, or if not, discussion here by this, I guess we need a planning commission report first, my fault, Beth.
The Norfolk Planning Commission held a public hearing on June 19, 2012 for a zone change from C1 Local Business District to R2 1 and 2 Family Residential District at 214 South 8th Street at the request of Adam N. Henn. Mr. Henn purchased a home at 214 South 8th Street that is zoned C1, and he would like to make repairs to the home, but it is non-conforming in this zoning district. The change will bring the house into conformance, and the Planning Commission voted 8-0 to recommend approval.
Okay, with that, I will close this hearing and look for a motion for consideration of ordinance number 5216, approving the zone change from C1 Local Business to R2 1 and 2 Family Residential at 214 South 8th Street.
Your Honor, I propose we consider ordinance number 5216.
Second.
A motion with a second to approve ordinance 5216. Any further discussion? If not, a short title, Beth.
An ordinance of the City of Norfolk, Madison County, Nebraska, amending the zoning district map of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska, providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and providing for publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5216 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, I'd move that we suspend. I guess that was a little premature, wasn't it?
You're all right. Motion to suspend.
Suspend ordinance, suspend the rules and pass ordinance 5216 on second and third.
I'd second that.
A motion with a second to suspend the rules and pass on second and third. Any discussion on that? If not, please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5216 carries on second and third.
Okay. And finally is consideration of ordinance 5217, amending section 18-1 of the code to add Norfolk Pedal Park to the list of parks defined in that section. Do I have a motion?
Your Honor, I would move consideration of ordinance 5217 on first reading.
Second.
Any further discussion or questions on that at all? If not, short title, Beth.
An ordinance of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska to amend Section 18-1 of the official city code to add Norfolk Pedal Park to the list of parks defined in that section, to provide when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and to provide for publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Okay. And we would ask again that you please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5217 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, I move to suspend the rules and pass ordinance 5217 on second and third.
Second that, Your Honor.
We have a motion with a second to suspend and pass on second and third reading. If no further discussion, please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5217 carries on second and third.
And with that, I see nothing further on the agenda. We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone. And a mellow evening here. Must be getting primed for the 4th of July.